Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a s'mores frappuccino out of polymer clay. So to start off, I'm going to take a small piece of brown clay, a small piece of gold clay, and an even smaller piece of translucent clay. And I'm just going to mix them together until they're really well conditioned between my fingers and really blended. Then I'm going to start rolling out the ball of clay so that I start getting the shape of the cup that I'm looking for. So one end is going to be a little bit thinner than the other end, and I'm just going to mold it between my fingers a little bit, kind of creating a ridge at the top and at the bottom. I'm happy with the shape of my cup here, so I'm going to take a small piece of translucent clay and create the top sort of rim that goes around the cup. I'm just going to roll it out into a little snake, and I'm just going to wrap it around the top of the cup, and I'll use my little X-Acto knife here to help attach it to the top. I want to start getting rid of my fingerprints I've left behind, so I'm going to take my isopropyl alcohol and just pour it into the top lid here using some Q-tips. I'm going to soak those and go over the piece just so that it gets rid of fingerprints and dust, and I like taking care of that as I go. To make the whipped cream effect on top, I'm going to take a piping tip. This one's a Wilton number 18, and I'm going to push a thin ball of clay through the piping tip. I have a big ball tool that I use to help push it through, and that kind of creates that sort of twisty effect a little bit. Once I've pushed a decent amount out of the tip, I am able to rip it off a little bit, and I give it an extra bit of a twist just to add a few more details, just since it's so tiny and mini. And then I wrap it around so that it has that kind of whipped cream, doppled sort of look. And I'm going to attach it to the top of the cup using my Sculpey Bacon Bond. Love this product. Since this is a s'mores frappuccino, I decided I'm going to make the top of that whipped cream look like it's been like toasted, I guess, a little bit. So I'm taking some chalk pastels and I'm just brushing a little bit of color onto the top so that it looks like it's been toasted or roasted over a fire a little bit. I'm going to start working on those s'mores details now, so I'm taking a small piece of light brown clay and I'm just molding it between my fingers and using my X-Acto knife to create a mini little graham cracker that I'm going to put on top of the cup. Again, I like to clean as I go. I'm just taking off some of my fingerprints and dust that are on top of the cookie with a alcohol-soaked cotton swab. I'm going to zoom in here so that you can see the detail that I'm going to start adding. So using a silicone tool and my X-Acto knife, I'm going to start creating the two sort of cracker bits and the little dots that go into it. So that the cookie doesn't keep a clean sort of plastic look, I'm just adding a little bit of texture with my toothbrush so that it looks like it's been baked. And here I'm going to add a touch of the chalk pastel from before just to give it a little bit of extra color on the sides. And then I'm going to take a piece of brown clay and start working on the chocolate bit in the same sort of fashion, just molding it between my fingers and then using those same tools to add the finer details of like the 4 pieces. I'm going to use my Sculpey Bacon Bond again to attach the chocolate to the graham cracker piece. Since it does dry a little bit white, I just use that as the sort of melted marshmallow look because it is kind of liquidy and melted looking rather than actually making a piece and adding it on there. Now taking a dotting tool, I'm going to kind of look where I want to add the face, and I'm going to use the smallest ball edge to add 2 little indents where I want the eyes. And then I'm going to take the same color brown that I used for the chocolate, and I'm going to roll them out into 2 small balls to add the eyes in. And then I'm going to also use that same color to roll out a tiny little mouth and apply it just with my needle tool. It has taken me a really, really long time to practice and practice and practice making the mouths for my little creations. I think it was Creative Rachie on YouTube who shared the tip to use a piece of paper when you're rolling out the mouth, and that'll help get that really, really tiny piece of clay. I guess the friction in there helps. And then use a needle tool to apply it. Sometimes using the sharp tool can leave some marks on the clay, so I usually take a small cotton swab and I go over it with the alcohol just to sort of press everything down all together and remove any leftover marks from making the face. And then here I'm just going to attach the little s'mores again with my Sculpey Bacon Bond. To make the straw, I'm taking a piece of green clay, like really green clay, and mixing it with quite a bit of translucent clay so that it kind of blends together and it looks like it's a little bit see-through and not super, super green. And I'm going to roll it out into a snake and just cut off a small bit here and attach it just behind the s'mores. Final detail to the face that I forgot to add, just taking a little bit of really light pink clay and adding just tiny little balls that I kind of roll out and make them a little bit more oval, and I press them just underneath the eyes to make little blush marks. Finally, to actually make this into a charm, I'm going to add my eye pin. So I'm just taking my needle nose pliers, cutting off a little bit here, and stuffing my eye pin with some Bacon Bond just into the top of the whipped cream there. And that's pretty much the finished look. On Instagram recently, I held a poll for this look, whether or not I should add that kind of heart logo on there or not. Most people agreed that the heart logo definitely goes on there, but there was a bunch of people who didn't want it. So I'm just showing you the example of what it does look like if you just take a little bit of white clay and just mold out a tiny little heart, adding it together with Sculpey Bacon Bond. You can plop that on top and give it a little logo. Ultimately, of course, it is up to you how you want to decorate. You can add a logo, you can not add a logo, you can do whatever you want, just be creative, have fun with it. This is obviously after being baked, and I did glaze it with UV resin. This is the final look. I hope you guys like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and thanks again so much for watching.